Okay, let's get started. Introduction to Photoshop. We're going to use File, Open, and I've got some photos downloaded onto my desktop, so that's a good idea. Before we begin, this will be a great one to start with. Okay, so I'm going to open that. I've got quite a busy desktop. Sometimes you want to just be able to clear it. Just hit Tab so I can have a really good close look at my image. That's the Tab button. Press it again, it brings back all my window. Let's take a quick look at the desktop. Yours may look a little different from mine. For example, your tools may be doubled like that or singled. I like to have them singled just by pressing that button there. Also, with each tool, you may find that some tools are missing. They're not missing, they're just hidden. If you look at this little corner, this little kind of arrow pointing bottom right corner, if you press and hold on that, you will see the options that you have for each tool, because each tool is kind of grouped into families. So I can have that as being the paint bucket tool, and this family here are for filling things in. So I can go paint bucket, I could have fill things in as a gradient quick selection tool, but again, if I press it, I could have a magic wand tool. Ooh, Harry Potter. You're going to want to use your brush, so if you've not got a brush there, you might find press and hold that it's the pencil tool or the color replacement tool or the mixer brush, but we're going to want a brush today. There's also here you can see the shortcut, so if I just press the key B, it will always default to whatever tool on here is selected. So I've got it as a brush, so whenever I press B, it's going to turn to B. Another tool we're going to be using today, press and hold, clone stamp, or pattern stamp, but we're using clone stamp, and this is the S, the stamp tool. I can't do anything on here because it's my background image. So before we start, I think we're going to free this up. So down here, let me talk to you a little bit about here. This is my layers panel. We're definitely going to want to use layers. Now backgrounds are locked by default. I don't want to use this image as my background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock it, and then it becomes not a background, it becomes layer 1, layer 0. And I'm going to give it a name. So double click. It is an important habit to get into, labeling your layers. As your document gets more and more complex, you've got dozens and dozens of layers, it'll really help. I'm going to want to make another layer. There's a couple of ways I can do that. I can go up to layer and have new layer. That's an obvious way, obviously, but there's another shortcut down here. This is my layers panel here. So I'm going to hit that button there, and that creates a layer. And this one, again, I'm going to double click and get to rename it, and I'm going to label this one. This is going to be my background. So I'm going to call this BG is my shortcut for background. Okay, so notice I rearranged it there by dragging it and putting it underneath. So now if I hit the eye icon there, I can make it visible or invisible. So I've made the sky layer invisible so we can see the BG layer, the background layer. You'll see that it's got this checked pattern. Now this check pattern just means it's transparent. It means there's nothing there. You can see through it. And I'm going to make it something nice and bright because for the purpose of this, if we can see the background, it's because I've made a mistake. So I want it to shine through. If you're doing something where you can see the background, you might want to make it a nice kind of neutral color. So just to recap there, by dragging one layer above or below another, you can make it to the top or the bottom. You can also make it visible or invisible by hitting the little eye icon. A little mistake there, Command Z undoes, just like in any other document. I'm going to fill the whole thing in, so I've got my paint bucket tool. Now, because my colour that's selected up here is green, I've always got two colours selected, foreground, background colour. And this is really handy when you're toggling between two colours very quickly. If I press the X key, it switches them. You've also got them here, same thing. One of the great little shortcuts here is you can automatically switch to what is the default foreground and background. By pressing that button, it makes them automatically back to black and white. And apparently there's a shortcut, the D button would do the same thing. If I toggle between them, if I want to paint white, let's change now to brush to remember the shortcut. Press the B key. You don't need to Command B or anything like that, you just press the B key and it automatically turns to now I can paint in white. And by pressing X, I toggle between the two colours I have, the black and white. I can use different colours as well by selecting those. I've made a mistake, I want to get rid of these, so I press Command Z. But Command Z will let me go back one step. If I want to go back more than one step, I'm going to press Command Option Z. Okay, so I click on the eye icon so I can see that layer because it's on top. And now I'm going to use the eraser tool, and I'm erasing from that top layer, which will allow me just to see straight through onto the bottom layer of my background. But please notice that this is a destructive action. I can't paint that back in later. I'm deleting it. So now let's look at creating a new layer. There's a little icon down here. I can do it through the layer option and the panels above, but if you look in that bottom right corner, just next to the trash can, there's a little layer icon. That gives me a new layer. And this layer's on top, so we're going to see it. If it was beneath the sky layer, we wouldn't see it, but it's on top. It's the top layer. I'm just going to very, very quickly sketch something in here, just to show that you can draw on top, basically. So just creating a little figure here that I draw in. I could do a cartoon character. I don't know what. Now I can't see very clearly here. It's a bit. I want to make it bigger. So what do? Command and plus, and I can zoom right in. So zoom in and out using Command plus or Command minus. But the other little shortcut that's very important for you here is to make your brush bigger or smaller. If you want a fine brush or a big brush. And you do that by using the square parentheses or square brackets, as we call them in England. Those are just above the return button on most keyboards, most Mac keyboards. And you can make your brush bigger or smaller by pressing the square parentheses. You've also got the controls up there to alter your brush. And the good thing about that is you can also have brushes that are hard-edged or soft-edged, different shaped brush. The other thing is going up there takes a lot longer, so it's quicker if you've got the same brush and you're using the same brush just to go bigger and smaller by using the parentheses. Okay, this isn't important, so let me just sketch this quick. Let's put him on a horse, cowboy land. I should have given him a hat. Oh well, not to worry. There you go. There is a cowboy. Yeehaw. Now, that drawing obviously isn't very good, so maybe I want to, and this is one of the concepts I want to show you here, is the idea of refining. So I'm going to do another layer here, and this layer here, one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to change its opacity. So if you look down in the bottom right here, one thing about layers is we can change, so I've got this layer 1, I should name this one, shouldn't I? So I'm going to two-finger click, I'm going to call that sketch. And then two-finger click this one. So sketch, refine. Okay. Now on my sketch layer, I'm going to drop this opacity down. Let's just take a look at what that does. It lets things become see-through. If I make my sky layer, if I drop the opacity for the sky layer, everything's going to take a greeny tinge because we're going to be able to see the background through it. So on my sketch layer here, now I'm going to zoom in. The opacity is nice and down. I'm going to go on to refine, onto my refine layer, and now this is where I can make my drawing a bit better. Let's make my this. Okay, so I'm just going to sketch this in really quickly here. It's not important, but still wanting to change the size of my brush, I'll use the square brackets very, very quickly to refine in my drawing. And I can do this multiple times. You can also draw over a photo if you want to. That's another thing you can do here. That's another way you can use the layers. Okay, now let's look at how to delete a layer. Then in this bottom right corner, I can just grab a layer and drag it down to that trash can, and that will delete a layer. The other thing I can do, if I don't want to delete it, I could also just hit that eye, and that will make it so you can't see it. But if it's no good to you anymore, you know you're not going to need it, you can throw it in the trash. Okay, so let's just draw something else, just playing on that idea that we can play around with layers to build up images. One thing I want to just show you here, so I'm drawing quite straight lines. Wow, I've got a really steady hand, haven't I? Well, no, all you need to do is you click on a point and then hold shift down, and then you click on another point and it draws a straight line from there to the second point. So holding shift down helps you do straight lines. I'm using a vanishing point here, vanishing point on the horizon, filling it in with the paint bucket tool. Then I will hide my construction layer so I can only see the layer that I want. And of course I can drop the opacity down as well. The next thing I want to show you is the clone stamp tool. That's this one here, looks like a stamp. And we need to make sure we're on the correct layer. That's a big mistake that we all make using Photoshop, using the wrong layer. This is a great one for if you want to get rid of somebody from a photograph that's in. You know, you've got someone who's photobombing,
Okay, this is a little tricky to explain, but have a go at it and see if you can work it out. You want to make sure you choose an area that is the same kind of color, looks very similar, so I'm picking this right at the very side of it. And when I press the Option key, you see what changes there? The cursor changes. When it's in that and I press the click, so I hold Option and click, it defines the area that's going to be pasted everywhere else. And now when I move to the side and I start painting, and again I can make my brush bigger or smaller as I wish to, using the square parentheses. But as I start painting, whatever is from the area that I defined is now going to paint wherever I paint. You'll notice as I go, I am making my brush bigger and smaller. You'll also know that I'm often redefining which area I'm using. As the colors change and as the part that I'm painting on changes, I'll go to a different area to grab from, to stamp from. And again, it's just using Option click to redefine which new part of the image I am going to take. So now, as you can see, we've taken a cloud and made it disappear. We could do this with anything, but we could also put things in. We could do the reverse. We could take something and move it to a different place, or add something to an image that wasn't already there using the same technique. So for example, here I'll add another cloud.